naturally thought that Desmond Haynes would have taken over. Actually started enjoying India, enjoying the food, the culture, and the variety. As you move from north to south, even the food was tasting a bit different. It was
Yeah.
milder up north, hotter down south. The people were very artistic. Yeah, I fell in love with the art. If I had to choose one person to go to war with, he would be the first person that I would select because he's always there for you. If Courtney Walsh has a broken bone today,
Yeah. Yeah.
you can't go to him and tell him that you're going to rule him out for tomorrow. He would be upset. He says, "No, no, no. I believe I can be ready. Let's wait until tomorrow morning." He was the sort of guy.
Hello, everyone. You're on SK Live. I'm your host, Indranil Basu. Today, we have a very special guest, Sir Richie Richardson, with us, the former West Indies captain and the current ICC match referee. Sir, welcome on SK Live. How have you been?
Thank you. Thank you for having me on your show. And good evening, or good morning, or good afternoon to all your viewers and listeners around the world and around India. I'm in sunny Antigua. It's beautiful here, nice and sunny and green. And I'm in great spirit. I'm in great spirit. I've been spending some time at home due to this COVID situation, and I've been reflecting a lot of things. So, but I'm good, in good health, and just happy to be speaking with you.
Yeah, and how is Antigua?
Antigua is not too bad. Obviously, like everybody else, we are being hampered by this COVID pandemic,
Yeah.
but we have started to reopen gradually. We have only small amount of cases of COVID, coronavirus infections, but I think we're coping very well. The island is doing well. We recently opened up our borders, so we're having international flights from the U.S. mainly. And we're going to have flights from Europe very soon and the rest of the Caribbean. But I think we're doing pretty well, considering how difficult it is under the circumstances. So, we're just hanging in there and trying to do the right things and hoping that this war will be over soon.
It must be a relief for you to see cricket starting all over again in England, India, England, West Indies playing that Test series, which is so scintillating. I mean, must be a relief for a
Yes,
former.
yes. It's not normal for us to be at home and not working or not seeing live cricket. So with this series going on, I'm sure everybody around the world is glued to it, and it has been a very good series, a very tight series so far. So I think it's good for the fans. So we're just hoping that pretty soon that there'll be more and more matches, and also that the spectators will be able to get back out and be live at these matches.
So whenever the West Indies cricket team plays, there is so much of element. There's an element of fun surrounding the West Indies team all the time. Whenever, because of the rich legacy it has. So what you have to say, from 70s, 80s, 90s, whenever they play, there's so much fun around them. There's so much excitement. So what do you have to say? You have been a captain of the side for so many years. So your thoughts on it?
I didn't. You were breaking up, but I think I get the gist of your question. Yeah, it's our nature to get excited, and whatever we do, we do it with rhythm and excitement and enjoyment. So there's always been this flair, in West Indies cricket amongst the players, and the fans always love it. They get involved and they will have parties at the matches, and it's an event. It's an event of excitement. I mean, of course, they always wanted the West Indies to win, but as long as there's excitement, as long as there's, people partying and drinking and being in a good mood and discussing the game, it's always been part of our culture, where there's a lot of excitement surrounding a game of cricket match.
So you're coming to
Yes,
the
yes.
question: how tough was it, in the late 80s to take the captaincy from Sir Wade Richards those days?
Well, firstly, I wasn't really thinking about captaincy at that stage. I was just focusing on scoring lots of runs and performing for the West Indies and doing really, really well. So when it came, it was a bit of a surprise to me, and I hadn't had a lot of experience as captain. I think I captained a full season, or might have been two seasons with Irelands, but I didn't really have that much experience. So it was a bit of a surprise. But once I decided I was going to accept it, I had to condition my mind and prepare myself and make the necessary adjustment. And it wasn't easy, but it was a great experience for me, a learning experience. And I had the respect of the players, and I was able to have a relatively good transition and a good start to my career as captain of the West Indies. But I was constantly under pressure because obviously, people expected the team to continue to perform the way it was performing. So we had to continue to work really, really hard. I had to work with the players to get them going, keep them together, and it did reasonably well under my captaincy.
That the that point we talking about, taking over as the captaincy of the West Indies team. There was also a story which says that Sir Wave Richards wanted Desmond Haynes to be the captain. So did you have a word with him after you took over?
No, everybody, because Desmond Haynes was the vice captain when Survive was
Yeah,
captain. So everybody, including myself, naturally thought that Desmond Haynes would have taken over.
yeah.
So it came as a surprise for all of us because I was looking forward to. Desmond Haynes was one of my closest friends, so I was looking forward to for him to be captain as well. But when I was asked to do the job, I was a little bit surprised and I didn't know what to do. So I spoke to my manager at the time, and he said to me that, look, it would be a great honor, and you don't think that I should turn it down. So I said, well, when I spoke with the Western Cricket Board, and I said, well, I would accept the job. And it wasn't easy because, as I said, we thought Desmond Haynes was going to get it, and he deserved and all that. But I was convinced that it's a great honor to captain your country, and you should not refuse it. But I have to say that Desmond Haynes did 100% support. He was always there for me. He was very encouraging, and I'm very proud of him, just because of the way he responded to me and the way he treated me and the way he supported me. I did speak to Viv very briefly before my first tour, and he said, look after the players, look after the guys, and he will all the best.
As a captain, you were captain for 4 years.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you only lost one series to Australia. So otherwise, it was spotless. So just run us through what was that. I mean, you were immaculate. I mean, quite impeccable record as a captain.
Well, it's as I said, it took over from us, Viv, who was a very well, probably our most successful captain. I never lost a series, so there's a lot of pressure on my team to continue that trend. So we continued to work hard, and we still had a lot of respect from opposition teams. And that one series that we lost against Australia was quite disappointing, but credit has to be given to Australia because they came to the Caribbean with a mission, and they fulfilled that mission, and they played very, very well, and a lot of credit has got to be given to them as well. We probably did not play as well as we could have, and Australia got the better of us.
So after you, uh, you know, I mean, gave away captaincy, there was a little, the West Indies cricket, started going downhill. It hit the rock bottom kind of a situation, and it lost its sheen. So is it because of the poor batting performances in that phase, which saw West Indies cricket losing out completely what it was in the earlier years?
Well, it's a combination of things, in my opinion. First of all, the world is a round place, and I don't think that anyone can be in control forever. And
Hmm.
we had a really good run, a really long run, and perhaps we didn't do enough to preserve our cricket. We probably took a lot of things for granted and believed that we would continue to just turn up and beat the rest of the world. whereas the rest of the world were doing a lot more to improve their game. They were strategizing um, as to how to beat us and how to get the better of us, and we just kept doing the same things. I don't think we put enough systems in place to really propel our cricket or to preserve our cricket, and I think we went downhill in a lot of areas. It's very easy to blame the players because the players are the end product. The players are what people see on the field of play. And but they are a product of a system. And if your system is not right, then the players are gonna show what how good your system is. So it's a lot of things. There's a lot of things that contributed to our cricket not being as strong as it used to. Also, there's been a lot of improvement by a lot of teams around the world. The game itself has improved tremendously. It has become much more scientific. There are a lot more support. For instance, when I played for the West Indies, we had just a trainer slash physio, and then Clive Lloyd was the captain who would be in charge of everything else. When I took over the captaincy, it was pretty much the same thing. I had someone to assist with coaching, but there were no support staff. Now, some squads have a bigger support staff than the actual player staff. So it goes to show that the game has changed. There's a lot more in terms of the scientific approach, a lot more data for you to work with and to analyze situations. So we probably did not do or make the changes that we needed to make early enough in order to keep our cricket going.
So so you're talking about the pitches earlier. The pitches when the phone call came, the pitches were not up to the mark. It was not up to the standards that also contributed to West Indies cricket not doing well during that time. In the late 90s and things like that.
Yeah, it is my belief that you need adequate facility in order to develop your players, and if you don't
Yeah,
have that,
yeah,
it's not easy. And if
yeah.
you're a batsman and you're batting on a pitch that's you can't trust or you don't know what's going to happen, then it's going to affect your confidence, and you can't develop or you can't learn if you don't have any confidence. But if you have good true pitches that you know that if you spin the ball it will turn, if you bowl it short it will bounce, and at least show some form of consistency for most of a match. At least as a batter you can learn, even as a bowler. So that was one area that I thought that let our cricket down a little bit. And as mentioned, I don't know if it was recorded, that former players used to talk about that. We used to make recommendations and we used to complain, but very little was done about it at the time.
Uh, you know, it is surprising also the way it slowed down over the years. When you had in 80s, 70s, going to West Indies, playing there on those tracks which were really, really hard, ball came really fast. What exactly happened? Was it lack of maintenance, or is it the lack of some sort of administrative failure from the West Indies Cricket Board?
Well,
That
it's a combination of stuff, and and to be honest, at this stage, I prefer not to really bash
yeah,
anyone or go into details. I mean, the thing is, I think now a great effort has been put into changing things and improving West Indies cricket. So, and that's a positive. So, and I'm very pleased about that. But it will take some time. We have to recreate a positive and strong cricketing culture in the Caribbean. I mean, the fans still love cricket, but overall, we need to work on getting, you know, everything strong. From the grassroots of our cricket. Youth cricket on the 15s, on the 13s, right through, and have proper systems, and give them the right training, the right exposure, and stuff like that. So I think that we will be competitive again because the talent is there. The talent will always be there, in my
absolutely.
opinion. I think that talent is embedded in our genes. So it's for us to continue to work hard, continue to support the cricket, and make sure that all the right things are in place in order to support um, quality cricket.
Absolutely. and it's going to only go up, from where it was earlier.
Yes, yes,
See,
yes, yes.
coming back to, when I had advertised the fact that I'm going to interview you, everyone had only one question: are you still looking after those hats which you wore during your playing days?
Yes, yes, yes. They're still everywhere in my house. Well, I'm not seeing any in this room, but yeah, I still have my floppy hats. I do stock them, and I do sell them as well.
Yeah.
People are still very interested in those hats. They're still very, very popular, and people still remember me for wearing the hat. And a lot of people at the time when I started wearing the hat, I was batting very, very well, and I think I became number one player in the world. And a lot
Yeah.
of people attributed my success to that broad brim
Yes.
floppy hat. Yeah,
Yes.
so
Yes.
yeah, it created quite a bit of a story right around the world, and it's nice really. And I often in my bedroom there's one somewhere, so as soon as I wake
Okay.
up I see it right there. Yeah, so yeah, so that floppy hat has made me very, very popular.
Yeah, and you played fast bowler so well. You had so much time while playing the quality fast bowler, the best of fast bowlers in the world, and you never wore a helmet. And the fact that you went in always with a hat, that's why it became so popular. It's sort of a cult image to see Sir Richie Richardson with that hat coming out with that swagger. So
Mhm.
we grew up watching those images.
Yes, when I started playing as a youngster, helmets weren't around, so we were practicing without helmets. And actually, I was a very, very slow, boring batsman.
Yeah.
When I was a teenager, I used to be very defensive and just look to be there, not really hitting the ball over the park. And my coach, Guy Yearwood, at the time when I was not happy with the way I was batting. He thought I was far too defensive. Obviously, we had a lot of fast bowlers, and I was just there hanging in, not scoring, just working the ball around. And he didn't want that sort of player in his team. So he had a plan. So he used to prepare our pitch, our practice pitch. So he prepared a very, very fast pitch and got some new balls. And he asked all the spinners to take a rest that afternoon, and he put me in and told the fast bowlers if any one of them pitches the ball up,
Yeah.
they would be going home. So basically, it was like me being put in a war zone. So all these fast bowlers were bowling short, and I felt like initially I was being cautious, trying to get behind the deliveries, evading a few and stuff like that. But it was becoming dangerous because these guys were getting warmer and warmer, and they were getting hot blooded. And then I felt like they wanted to kill me. So I said, well, wow, I mean, I'm not going to get killed today. I have to defend myself. And if I
Yeah.
continue to bat the way I was batting, then I certainly would get killed. So, and at the time, I thought there was only one way to defend myself, and that was to attack.
Yes.
And I just suddenly started hooking. And I mean, it was pandemonium. There was traffic jam on the road next door. The trees were losing branches, and almost every ball that was bowled short was being dispatched for six or
Wow.
four. And after that, after I was finished batting, my coach said to me, "Well, now I know for sure you're going to play for Antigua. You're going to make it." He said to me, "I was going to make it," and I just took it all in. And after that, I just started preparing myself for short pitch bowling because I
Yeah.
didn't want to get hurt, and I saw every fast bowler as being a person who's trying to kill me, especially when they bowl short. So I decided, well, if they want to kill me, I'm gonna defend myself by attacking, and that was my approach. And then I started practicing more and more um, by getting guys to bowl to me on concrete,
Yeah.
and they would start off like maybe at 22 yards, let them, after a few deliveries, let them come closer and closer until they're like 10 yards or sometimes even less, bowling as fast as they can to me, and without a helmet as that on concrete. So that helped me to develop, very good reflexes and allow me to focus very keenly on that ball because my philosophy as well was that if you keep your eye on the ball, you should not really get hit in your head. And I backed myself. And the fact that there was no helmet, I said to myself, look, I had to back myself, trust my instinct, trust my eyesight. And that's how I think I developed the ability to play fast bowling very, very well, especially when they're bowling short.
Your first tour to India is a famous story how you lost your luggage. So can you run us through that phase?
Well, I don't know. I don't know how I lost it. I Before that tour, I went on a trip to New York. We had a cricket tour
Okay.
from Antigua to New York. So I did a bit of shopping, got a couple of nice suits and some nice clothing. I had this nice big suitcase with all my stuff. So maybe somebody thought that there was some enticing stuff in my suitcase and they decided that they should have it. But I don't know, it disappeared. I remember I don't know where we were traveling from, but we got to Delhi. And usually our bags we looked after and then they'll be taken to to the hotel and then they distributed to your room. I never got mine, never saw mine at the hotel. So I don't know what happened. But that didn't bother me, didn't put me off. I was there to play cricket, and I wasn't going to allow that to affect my focus. So it didn't bother me. I was able to get some clothing and continue with the tour. It was a learning experience for me. It was my first tour, obviously,
Yeah.
um, for the West Indies. Never been to India before, never experienced that sort of culture. So it was a shock to start with, but I realized I quickly had to make adjustments, and I actually started enjoying India, enjoying the food, the culture, and the variety. As you move from north to south, even the food was tasting a bit different. It was
Yeah.
milder up north, hotter down south. The people were very artistic. I fell in love with the art and just the way how the people did things. And they're very manual with the way they're very creative and very artistic. And then they did a lot of things with their hands. And I was fascinated by that. So I eventually started enjoying the tour. I didn't score a lot of runs, but I continued to practice hard. It was tough for me on those pitches because every single pitch was like turning very, very square.
Yeah.
Obviously, we had some really good fast bowlers, so we didn't expect any fast bouncy tracks. So it was all spin, spin, spin. But it was tough for us. But I think we did well. Every match was very, very tough for us. Um, and I think we won the series. I played my first test match in Mumbai, made up the first innings, 20, 26 the second innings. I played a few shots, but it was a learning experience. Playing on those pitches, playing against some really quality bowlers. Including Kapil Dev, and just being in India, being in different conditions, was a good learning experience for me. It was tough for me, but was good for me.
And there's also a famous story how Andy Roberts prepared you in the nets because you didn't get enough time to practice in the nets. So what was
Yeah,
that story?
as I mentioned earlier, back then there was not as much support. So in terms of, for instance, today you have, you know, heaps of net bowlers. Everywhere you go, there's heaps of net bowlers. Back then, the bowlers used to bowl to our batsmen in the nets. So because I was not in the first 11, and it means that I was the last batter to bat. So by the time it came down to me, the bowlers were tired, were very, very tired, and some would be taking a rest or and stuff like that. So I didn't get that quality of bowling that the top order batsman would get. So I used to find ways to spend a little bit more time in the nets and stuff like that. But it
Yeah.
wasn't a complaint. It was just the way the situation was, and it didn't only just affect me. It's just that in India where it's usually hot, and you have all the frontline bowlers bowling early and they're running in and they're bowling hard. By the time it came down to me and a few others, it meant that they were a little bit tired. So it was never really a complaint of mine. I mean, Andy Roberts was always there for me. Gave me a lot of support. But other players were there for me as well. I mean, I felt welcome by the entire team. I didn't feel like I was neglected in any way. It was a good setup, a good team. Everybody believed in working really, really hard and setting very, very high standards. And as a young player, we all had to fit in. I mean, there are a couple of the young players on that tour as well, and we all had to fit in and do what is expected. But at the end of the day, it was a great experience. I learned a lot. We played some good cricket, and yeah, it was a good tour.
Sir, in India, we have this phenomena that players who are really good players in matches, they are horrible in the nets. We have seen a lot of players doing that. Sunny Gavaskar was never in his elements in the nets, but when he went out to bat for India, he was just too good. Uh, what was
Yes.
your understanding of Sir Viv Richards in the nets? You batting in the nets, how was it? I mean, you guys had the same intensity both in the nets as well as in the matches.
Well, for me, I didn't like nets. I didn't like the enclosure. If it's in the open, if it's in the middle, then it was fine. But when you're surrounded with these nets, I never felt free. I never felt comfortable. And
Yeah,
I don't think a lot of batsmen were like that.
yeah.
But you can't tell the fast bowlers that they're still going to run in at you anyway. So you had to fend for yourself. And also, I mean, if you didn't bat properly in the net, obviously Clive Lloyd and the senior players would come down on you. So you still had to make adjustments and try to get as much out of it as possible. But for me, I never felt comfortable batting in an enclosed net, and more so indoor. If it's indoors, it was very, very uncomfortable. But you still had to do it, and try and get out of as much out of it as possible.
And how was Sir Webb in the nets? Was he very convincing as he was in the middle?
Well, he at times, obviously, sometimes it depends on the wicket. I get the impression he wasn't as comfortable in the nets as well. But once, he got out into the middle, it's a different story. I mean, you could get the better of him in the nets, but then in the middle, it's a totally different story.
Coming back to the fitness bit of the West Indies players, everyone comes across such fit people. Is it because of is it naturally they're built like that? Is it they do work really hard on their fitness, on their drills to make themselves so tough on the field? They hit the ball through the line with so much ease. There's so much strength, so much of uh, you know, what I mean. So much of power in their shots, so much of pace. So what is exactly is the reason, sir? What's the secret?
I think West Indians are naturally strong people. As you can see, I'm
Yeah,
still looking strong.
yeah, I know.
Yes, so but we at the time there was a serious focus on a high level of fitness. I think Clive Lloyd realized that in order for the players to perform to the best of their ability, they had to be as fit as they possibly could be, and I think that's why he brought in Dennis Waite, a fitness trainer from Australia. So
Okay.
serious training, a lot of running was important within the team. And if you weren't prepared to do that, then you would be out.
Yeah,
If you started putting on a little bit of weight around the stomach where it shouldn't be,
yeah,
Clive Lloyd will be the first to alert Dennis Waite, and it means that you're gonna have to.
okay.
Whereas you're accustomed to get up at five, like sorry, 7 o'clock in the morning, you might have to get up at 4:30 or five to do some extra laps and some extra exercise. So, yes, there was a serious focus on a high level of fitness, and you had to exercise, you had to do the training, and we developed that training culture. And there are times when you didn't have to be told to train or do extra training. We would often be jogging back from the ground after a match or after practice. A number of players would jog back with the trainer. Sometimes a few, if they're not actually playing in the match, would probably jog to the ground. Obviously, for security reasons, we cannot do
Yeah.
that. But we bought into the fitness and training culture of the team, and it wasn't a problem. We were always there ready to go the extra mile because it was paying off. We were seeing results from that extra training, and anybody who came in and didn't want to do it, they were quickly pointed out and told that look, it's do or die. You're either gonna do this, you're either gonna fit in and do the training, or you'll be out. So, and it was good. High standards were set in all departments, and I'm proud to have been part of that culture that set up
Yes.
under the great Clive Lloyd, continued under the great Sir Vivian Richards, and hence one of the reasons why the team was so successful.
Coming to the
Okay,
Australian
okay.
trainer coming and changing the fitness standards of the West Indies team. You have had an incredible record against the Australian bowling attack. 9 out of if your 16 test 100 came against Australia. What was that?
Yeah, yeah. As I mentioned earlier, what happened to me with my coach and fast bowling. I saw fast bowlers as being aggressive people who want to get the better of me. And playing against Australia, especially in Australia, you're playing on some fast, bouncy tracks with some
Yeah,
quality fast bowlers. And also, if I can just go back a little bit, before I actually played for the West Indies, I can recall watching a series on television where Australia beat the West Indies 5-1 in a test series. And Dennis Lilly and Jeff Thompson and Gary Gilmore and all these guys, they were really giving, well, they gave the West Indies batsmen a hard time. A number of players got hurt and stuff like that. And I was saying to myself, I would love to play against these guys one day. I would love to revenge, that motivated me as well. And then when I eventually got a chance to play against Australia, I think the aggressive nature, the way they play the game, you always know that the bowlers are in your face. They're mean, they're aggressive, they're vocal, they're verbal, and things like that motivated me. I've always been, the sort of guy who you would never know what motivate me because I would not react. I'll be very quiet, but deep down, the more aggressive you are, the more you talk to me, the more things you say, that would motivate me even more. So I guess it's just the way the Australians play the game, the aggressive nature. That's what motivated me to want to do well against, especially the fast bowlers.
so when they sledged you, just walked the other way around towards the leg umpire, right? That's what you did.
Well, yes, I just let the bat do the answering.
Yes,
That
yes,
was my
yes.
approach.
And you've been such a sober cricketer also. I mean, that's why people remember you so much. You never made those noise. You always allowed your bat to do the talking, and that's why you fit as a match referee so well, because it's also about how well you conduct on the field. You have been a perfect ambassador of the game.
Yeah, well, it's my nature. I've always been like that from since a young boy growing up. I've always been very, very quiet, reserved, try to listen a lot and watch a lot and observe a lot, and always try to do things as calmly as I possibly can. And I think it helped me in life. I've found myself in a lot of situations that because of my calmness, I'm able to get out of it. So it's just my nature. And as far as match refereeing is concerned, I'm still learning. Still pretty young in that field. And I think that because of my nature, that has helped me as well to just the way I deal with people, the way I deal with players, and the way I deal with all the stakeholders. I tend to have a very calm nature. My and I believe that despite whatever differences we have, we can always resolve any negative situation just by
Yeah.
dialoguing and by understanding, by communicating and understanding each other. We all are going to have differences. We're going to see things differently, but that does not mean that we cannot coexist. That doesn't mean that we can't do things together. That doesn't that mean that we cannot have a collective approach in the way we do things. So that's has always been my nature, and I have to credit my mother a lot for that. I think my mother has cultured me very, very well. She taught me a
Yeah.
lot. She was the calmest person that I ever knew, the best mother in the world ever, and I credit her a lot for my demeanor, my approach to life, my good behavior, and
Yeah.
and so I think about her a lot, and whenever I think about her, a smile just come on my face and a calming influence. So I'm very grateful.
You also had a great skills to manage things. Your management skills are really good, no question about that. How did you manage these two great fast bowlers, Curtly Ambrose and Courtney Walsh?
Well, to be honest, it wasn't very difficult because, well, I'll tell you what the difficulties I had for but firstly, these two guys were two great fast bowlers.
Great.
And and because they often perform, it made my job easy.
Yeah.
The difficulty I had, Courtney Walsh is a sort of bowler who would bowl for 2 days straight if you allow him. Doesn't matter how slow the pitch is. It doesn't matter what the condition is, what the situation is. Courtney Walsh always wants to bowl. He never says no when you call upon him. And when he's
Okay.
got the ball in his hands, it's
Yeah.
hard to get it out of his hand. So whereas that's a good thing in a lot of sometimes when you have other strategies, other plans which involves the other bowlers, it could be a problem. But generally, Courtney Walsh is a true soldier and was easy to work with. Even though he wanted the ball, he would understand. He would challenge you and say, "Look, Skip, I want the ball, man. I want the ball. Let me bowl, man." But still, he would understand your situation once you explain to him. Now, Curtly Ambrose, on the other hand, was a bit more moody.
Okay.
Um, when he's bowling and he's bowling well, don't
Okay.
ever try to take the ball from him because he would get very angry. There
Okay.
are times when you call upon him and
Ah,
you look at his face and you can see he would like a longer break or he's not ready to bowl. But he wouldn't
ah,
say no. He would still come and deliver. And once he gets into his stride, because of his competitive nature, he's just gonna
yeah.
give 100%. So I didn't have any problems with those two bowlers. They were great heroes. They did a great service to West Indies cricket. And often said, particularly about Courtney Walsh, if I had to choose one person to go to war with, he would be the first person that I would select because he's always there for you. If Courtney Walsh has a broken bone today,
Yeah. Yeah.
you can't go to him and tell him that you're going to rule him out for tomorrow. He would be upset. He says, "No, no, no. I believe I can be ready. Let's wait until tomorrow morning." He was the sort of guy, you'd see him like in the evening and he'd have ice all over his ankles and his knees and his everywhere. And you would be concerned about him. But next morning, once that bell has gone, he'll be ready. He'll be there. So he had that ability to shirk off pain and that kind of stuff and just be ready because he always wanted to be out there. His heart was big and he just always believed that he can go out there and deliver.
And we enjoyed so much of their bowling. I mean, both of them when they ran in from both the ends, it was such a sight. I mean, the
Yes.
purity of the game will never forget these moments. People still
No.
cherish the fact that
Yeah, definitely. I got goose pimples many times. Curtly Ambrose, the way he bowled, his accuracy, it was just amazing. He just put that ball on a length, and because of his height, the bounce he got. Plus, he also had a very accurate Yorker, especially very early in his career. He used to bowl a Yorker that used to outswing very late, that many batsmen could not cope with. But it was a pleasure, having those two bowlers in particular. And obviously, we had some good support from guys like Ian Bishop, Kenneth Benjamin, Winston Benjamin, and a few others. So we were lucky. I was lucky as a captain to have those bowlers to continue the trend of quality fast bowlers that the West Indies had from since the days of Clive Lloyd.
So, when Curtly Ambrose got angry and you didn't give him a long spell, so what did you tell him to pacify?
Oh man, he was before I was captain. He was my roommate, and we used to, we used to play music together. So we had a good relationship and a good understanding, and I would know how to calm him down and to get him to cool down and be okay. It wasn't always easy, but deep down, he was a very good guy. Behind in the changing room, in the dressing room, he's a lot different to when you see him in public or see him on the cricket field. I believe that he I think he was a bit of a comedian in the dressing room. And he
Okay.
used to always smile a lot and give a lot of jokes and be very funny. But then when he's out there in public, when he's out there in cricket field, you would never see that. So the opposition always thought that he was that mean, angry, cruel man. No, behind closed doors, he was a gentle giant who loves to laugh, loves to play music, loves a bit of fun, and that kind of stuff.
What was your first thought which came to your mind when you saw Brian Lara bursting into the scene?
Well, I was like, wow, look at the talent, the immense talent. It was just amazing,
Yeah.
And then when I got to know Brian Lara, I realized that, his heart was very, very big, and he wanted to be the best at whatever he did. As a batsman, he wanted to be. He had great goals, and he wanted to, and he believed that he would be the best. And I can recall many times he would say, "Look, I'm going to score 100 tomorrow," and he would go out
Okay.
there and do it. He's that sort of guy. He would
Wow.
say exactly what he was going to do, and he would do it. He immense talent, Brian Lara, and big heart, and he backed himself tremendously.
So, which is the best bowler you have faced in your career?
The best bowler facing international cricket would have been Wasim Akram. The best fast bowler, best bowler. Wasim Akram. I think he had the art of doing everything with the ball, swinging the ball both ways, and also seaming the ball both ways off the pitch. Um, very deceptive. He was very similar to Malcolm Marshall in many ways. So, I mean, obviously, I would have played against Marshall in regional cricket
Yeah.
and in the nets. And I think those two bowlers pretty similar, and those are the two greatest fast bowlers that I've
Yes.
come across.
Yes.
The best spinner that I've played against would have been Abdul Qadir.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was mystical, and he had variety, he had guile, and he just had everything that you would want of a spinner, leg spinner. Unfortunately, he didn't play as many test matches as he would have liked. But I think that he at the time when I played against him, he was the best spinner that I think I ever played against. So of course, I played against Shane Warne towards the end of my career, and at the start of his career, he wasn't at the time what he turned out to be. But of course, he turned out to be probably the greatest spinner of all times. But I played against some really quality cricketers around the world,
Yes.
players that I respect, Gavaskar as a batsman, Sachin Tendulkar, Martin Crowe, David Gower, Graham Gooch, Javid Miandad. There's so many quality players I played against, that I still remember today. I still remember playing against them and the things they would do. Richard Hadley as a fast bowler, but
Wow. Yeah.
oh man, you used to see the seam coming at you all the time, just
Yeah.
hitting one spot, and the thing is, you see the seam, so you have an idea what the ball might do, but still you played it, but you can't play it. You keep beating you.
What quality?
Yeah, it was. I enjoyed that era of cricket. Some quality players, some great competition, and for me, one of the most exciting thing about that era is the relationship that you develop with players,
Absolutely.
around the world. We used to, from time to time, at the end of the day's play, or at the end of the game, we will exchange visits to dressing rooms, we talk about the game, have a little drink, and it was really good. It was really good. It was a great era, and it was very, very enjoyable. There was also a lot more interaction with the fans, because we felt like the fans were an integral part of the game. Without the
Yeah.
fans, we were nothing. If there were no fans to celebrate us or to be interested in us, then we would be nothing. So we would find time to interact with them, sign autographs, take photographs, and just to make them happy, to make them happy, so they would want to come back to it. So so they would want to, that they would feel part of the game, and give them the opportunity to ask questions, because from a distance they see a lot of things, but they don't know everything. and they want to know, and they're the ones who are paying. They're the ones who keep the game going. If they don't pay
Absolutely.
to watch, then we're nothing. So, but today is a little bit different, and I can understand a lot of things have changed, and for security reasons, the players are protected. And unfortunately, there's some people out there who don't mean all that well, so you have to protect the players.
So your memories with you had with Malcolm Marshall, late Malcolm Marshall in the at the domestic cricket. How was he? I mean, facing him.
I think he is the greatest artist that I've ever come across in terms of fast bowling. He was also very, very smart. He would study every single batsman and work them out. So he would tell you at the start of a series how many wickets he's going to get, and
Wow.
he would tell you how many times he was going to get a particular batsman out, and
Yeah.
he would be spot on or very close. He had the ability to assess batsmen and the ability to know how to get them out. I think he is the finest artist I've ever seen in terms of fast bowling.
I mean, what's your message to all the budding cricketers who are pursuing the game, and what the memories you had as a young talent, and the kind of cricket you've seen over so many years. So, what do you have to tell these budding cricketers? People who are grappling with the choice whether to get into academics or play cricket full time. So, what's your message to them?
Well, it's there's a lot of opportunities today, a lot more opportunities in the game of cricket. But still, I would encourage every single youngster to focus on his or her academics because that is
Yeah,
very, very important. And
yeah,
there's no guarantee that you will make it in cricket. You can get an injury, a serious injury, and that's it. Or things probably can just not work out for you. So you having your academics, having your qualifications, your scholastic qualifications, will be with you for your entire life and will be able to take you through. So you should focus on that. What is important is if you want to have a cricketing career, is to find the right balance. You have to find the right balance because it can be done. A number of cricketers have done that. And as a youngster, you have to be totally dedicated. You have to know what you want, and you have to be prepared to work very hard to achieve what you want. You have to be prepared to make certain sacrifices, give up a lot of things that might give you fun at the time in order to achieve your ultimate goal. But the opportunities are there in all aspects. The game is improving. More opportunities are being created. The ICC is doing an excellent job in globalizing the game of cricket, giving more players the opportunity. We see what's happening in women's cricket, and women's cricket is growing so fast, it's incredible, and that is great. That is what the game needs. We need to get more players involved, male and female, get more kids involved from an early age, and we need to get the game to all parts of the globe. We need to promote it in China, all over. I mean, already India's got a large population. If you can get it popular in India, then
yeah.
I mean that would be a massive. Sorry, in China, that would be a massive, massive accomplishment. But it is growing, and it's growing steadily. And before I die, I would love to see the game of cricket become as popular as football or soccer, as it's called in America.
So there's a last question from the viewers asking that we have so much of protective gear on our body when we are playing. Is it the reason behind a lot of batsmen get hit these days, which was not in your time? Wasn't happening that because you guys were alert. You went behind the ball. You stood there. You never you hooked the ball. You pulled the ball. But now it's all protective gears all over from head to toe. I mean, you're completely.
Well,
You feel you're getting.
yeah, I don't know. I don't know why, and I can't say that. What I do know that at the introduction of helmets, there are a lot of more people being hit on the head, and I believe it was due to a false sense of security, thinking that you're protected and you probably were taking more chances, or you probably thought that, well, look, I'm safe, so I don't really have to take all the necessary options to evade being hit in the head. And I really don't know. Obviously, there's probably a lot more cricket as well, so the chances of you getting hit is a bit more today. I really don't know. It's just different era, different times, and we just got to roll with the times.
Yeah, yeah. And it was such a pleasure talking to you. I can go on and on. I've got so many questions. You know, sometime later we'll definitely, when we meet face to face. And it was such a
Yes,
pleasure,
yes,
sir, having you on
definitely,
the
definitely.
show. It was such a pleasure. I'm so thankful. Right after breakfast you joined me 9:30. It's almost 10:30. I've taken 1 hour, almost 1 hour of your life.
Yes.
And my best wishes to your family. Stay safe and come back to the cricket. Come back to cricket field as soon as possible. I hope we are able to win over the pandemic. This pandemic is really
Yeah.
creating havoc in the world, and it was really pleasure having you on the show, sir.
Yes. Nice talking to you. Nice being on your show. And
You're
I'm
not
sure
moving.
I'm
Sorry,
sure. I'll say
you're
I'm
not
sure we will do this again sometime soon. And
absolutely.
that wonderful background that you have behind you also,
That's for you. Yes.
motivate me. It's really beautiful.
You're,
As
you're,
we
you're grown
say
up.
here, Antigua is very nice. Antigua is pretty. Antigua is nice. So hopefully you will be able to make a trip here sometime soon as well.
Absolutely.
So
Thank you, sir.
nice talking to you. That's my grandson in the back there. He's my best buddy.
I-
Hopefully
Your
we
your
play cricket one
your
of these
your
days.
your visual is not moving. I'm sorry. You're static.
Oh, oh, okay. Sorry.
Yeah.
Okay, all the best. Nice talking to you.
All
All
the
the best
best.
to all your
And
fans and
thank
everybody
you,
in
sir.
India.
Thank you. Thank you, sir. Stay safe. Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. Coming on
Take
this
care.
show.
Bye bye.
Thank
Stay
you.
safe.
Bye.
Bye bye.
Bye.